Hey everyone, my name's Madison. Thanks for checking out my channel. Today I'm going to do a review of, I need to look at the title to say the whole thing. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Marianne Schaefer and Annie Barrows. I will start with the premise and a summary, and then I'll share some themes and some quotes in the books, and I'll tell you what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and whether or not I would recommend it. In this book, citizens from the Channel Islands become pen pals with an author from London, and they share their stories from World War II and the German occupation of the Channel Islands. Okay, now for a quick summary. Juliet is the main correspondent, or the main character in this book. She wrote a humor column during World War II that was incredibly successful, and because it brought humor to really tough circumstances during the war, and it was so popular that her editors turned it into a book. When she's on a book tour, she gets this letter from a man on Guernsey Island, and he is writing her requesting information on any books by or about Charles Lamb. He is he's writing her because he bought a book by Charles Lamb in his local bookstore on Guernsey, or he was given that book, and it had her name and address in it, but the bookstore essentially went out of business during the occupation, and so he has no more books, and so he writes her to ask for advice or books to read and things like that. In his letter, he mentions some odd things about a pig and about a book club and about potato peel pie, and Juliet is intrigued. She is happy to be of service. She sends him a book and a recommendation for books, and she also asks him, dude, what's up with the pig and the pie and the book club? Tell me more. And so he does. Eventually, she becomes pen pals with many people on the island, and a friendship grows between them that will change her life forever. Okay, now for some themes and quotes from the book. One of the themes that I really enjoyed in this book, or the topic that I really enjoyed in this book, is the philosophical nature of reading. And the reason that we spend time on this is because Juliet is asked to write a Times article, you guessed it, on the philosophical value of reading. And there are just a couple of quotes that I just loved that I want to share with you. The first one comes from page 63, and it's in a letter written by Dawsey, the main guy who writes Juliet to begin with. He's talking about a quote from Shakespeare, "The bright day is done, and we are for the dark." He says, "I wish I'd known those words on the day I watched those German troops land, plane load after plane load of them, and come off ships down in the harbor. All I could think of was, damn them, over and over. If I could have thought the words, 'The bright day is done, and we were for the dark,' I'd have been consoled somehow and ready to go out and contend with circumstances. Instead of my heart sinking to my shoes." And so he's talking about how those words could have given him courage, and books give him courage and strength, and I think that's a beautiful thing, and I also think it's true. So I really appreciated that. The next quote I'm going to share is from page 64, and in it he's talking about a woman who ended up being arrested during the war and taken to a concentration camp. This is what he says. "We clung to books and to our friends. They reminded us that we had another part to us. Elizabeth used to say a poem, I don't remember all of it, but it began, 'Is it so small a thing to have enjoyed the sun, to have lived light in the spring, to have loved, to have thought, to have done, to have advanced true friends? It isn't. I hope, wherever she is, she has that in her mind.'" So again, he's hoping that those words gave Elizabeth strength when she was in a concentration camp. I think that's a beautiful thing, and I hope that's something that we can all have from books, is a sense of strength, no matter what we read. I hope we're reading books that give us strength and courage. So, The next theme that I pulled out from the book is about the humanity of the enemy. In this book, Guernsey Island is occupied, and so of course we have an enemy force to deal with, but it doesn't necessarily go as you would expect. It goes more along the lines of real life, which is kind of nice, right? Several of the Guernsey characters make friends with German soldiers, several of them fall in love with German soldiers, and their stories are intertwined. You even get scenes that are heart-wrenching about German soldiers. By the end of the war, they're starving on the island as well, and they're digging up food and they're being shot for stealing, just like some of the Guernsey Islanders are. And so I think that she's showing that in these moments, we need to remember that we're all human and we're all brought low by circumstances like war. Okay, now for what I liked. I really enjoyed the letter format. I think that it gave the story a lighthearted tone, it felt authentic, and it was a great way to interact with the characters and advance the plot. I also loved the love for books that the authors are sharing in this book. It is absolutely the novel's strongest feature, and I would recommend it specifically for that reason. If you are a book lover, this book is probably for you. Okay, now for some things that I didn't like as much. I didn't really like the last quarter of the book, and I know that that sounds pretty bad, but it's not as bad as you think. I just thought there was a plot line that the author added in to give a sense of, climax to the story, and I thought it was silly. There's a bit where, if you've read this, it's the part with the whole Oscar Wilde letters. I found it incredibly distracting. And I also thought there was another way to do this. There was something far more interesting in the letters that could be found lying around on the desks, and we could have gone there, and she didn't. And that's her choice as an author. That's totally fine. But I just found, because I felt like the main movement in that section of the book was very forced and very silly. The characters are a little silly, so you're cool with that, but it was a little too much for me. Okay, so this next section is going to have some spoilers. I also had a lot of trouble with the love story. Don't get me wrong, I loved Ozzy. I think he was a fantastic character, a good man, deserving of Julia's love. And I'm even okay with the fact that I saw the love story coming from literally page 2 of the book. That's fine, I don't mind it. What bothers me about it is that we get this whole narrative of, oh, I didn't know I was in love with this man. And it's just, what? I don't like it when authors do that. It doesn't ring true for me personally, and it bothers me when authors do that. I could understand if she were in denial. She had had 2 very rough love stories, love experiences prior to this, and so I could see her being in denial a little bit. Maybe she's saying she's not ready, she's not sure, she doesn't trust herself. Those are all perfectly plausible, but to say that she's legitimately surprised about the fact that she finds herself in love with a man, no. Let's be a little bit more authentic with our emotions. That is just a common problem I have with stories that have romance elements in them, and it's something that bothered me about this book. Okay, finally, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars because of how much the authors love books and how much that shows in this. If you love historical fiction, World War II novels, maybe a different take on a World War II story, and you love books, this is for you, and I hope that you love it. The authors did an excellent job researching for this story, and you can tell because the stories that they tell in the letters are authentic. They feel true. There might be some problems with the voice, maybe, depending on your perspective, but they're real stories, and it's wonderful because of that. This book is well worth the read, even if you're not a huge fan of slightly cheesy romances. So, if you've read this book, let me know what you think, and let me know if this is on your TBR list. Thanks, guys. I will see you soon. Bye.